Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Sabha TV, where we get you the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you all of that. But first, the headlines. Russia calls the crash of its airliner in Egypt last month an act of terror. President Putin vows to find and punish perpetrators of the attack over the Sinai Peninsula. Home Minister Rajnath Singh claims the threat from the Islamic State is quite real for India. State governments are asked to step up vigil. The flood situation remains serious in Tamil Nadu. Teams from the Army, Air Force and Navy are pressed into service for rescue work. BHP leader Ashok Singhal passes away at the age of 89. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other leaders condole his death. And France launches an international manhunt for the 8th Paris attacker, while its jets continue to bomb Islamic State strongholds in the city of Raqqa in Syria. The top story: the threat of the ISIS is real and getting closer, claimed Home Minister Rajnath Singh today. He warned that India cannot remain immune to its threat, especially after the deadly strikes in France last week. But he has assured that India is keeping a close eye on the terror outfit while asking states to step up vigil. Here's a report.
High casualty Paris terror strike has sent the world into a tizzy. On the home turf, security measures have been heightened. Home Minister Rajnath Singh voiced concern on the impending threat from IS in India. Singh emphasized that the danger of IS did not confine to any particular group of nations and that India has adopted defensive strategy to combat the menace.
IS का खतरा केवल किसी एक देश का खतरा नहीं है, बल्कि एक ग्लोबली एक चैलेंज है और सभी देशों को मिलकर इसका मुकाबला करने की जरूरत है और भारत भी इस संबंध में पूरी तरह से सजग है.
Even as the Paris terror attacks forced the Indian security establishment to upgrade security measures, radicalization and indoctrination of Indian youths by IS have added to India's worries.
Intelligence people should keep an eye out. They should keep a watch on the situation. We should develop a sophisticated de-radicalization strategy in case some young people are affected. Certainly we should do that.
The world has been put on high alert following 13/11 massacre in Paris by IS, which has left 132 dead. Major cities including London, Rome and Washington DC have beefed up security. High alert has been sounded in India too, and elaborate security measures have been put in place at all foreign embassies and consulates. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, for more on this story, we're joined by retired Lieutenant General Raj Kadian, who was the former Vice Chief of Army Staff, joining us, in fact, from the capital. Sir, thank you so much for being here with us on the news tonight. You know, with Rajnath Singh, the Home Minister, also saying that the ISIS threat is real, how concerned should we be?
The threat of the ISIS is being posed to the entire world. As of now, their priority may be only those countries who are attacking their bases in Iraq and Syria. They have already given a threat of more attacks on France and also given a threat of attacking Washington. However, India continues to be in their crosshair, undoubtedly. In the Asian continent, they have already made inroads up to Afghanistan. They have already declared their intention of spreading their ideology, if senseless killing can be called an ideology, eastwards into India, into Burma, into Bangladesh, Nepal and all this region, Bangladesh. So, for India, which has already been a victim of several terrorist attacks, the attacks by ISIS is a very real possibility. They have already established some kind of links into the Indian subcontinent. We have reports of some youths who are sympathetic, if not active members of the ISIS, and I am sure they are in the process of establishing this sleeper cell. No amount of preparation is enough while countering terror. No matter how well prepared a country is, it may be impossible to stop terror attacks 100%, but yes, they can be minimized. The experience shows that while in Indian case, our reactive actions, reactive preparations against terror are adequate and effective, but our preventive actions need to be further improved to a great degree. The only counter to terrorist attack is good intelligence, where you can prevent these attacks. Once
And
these
when
are
we're
launched,
talking
you
about
can
this
do
good
whatever you like
intelligence,
to
General,
hunt them
when we're
out
talking
or
about
to-
this good intelligence, General Qadian, does this also involve definitely the state intelligence, especially, and now with the states being told to, step up their vigil, how much of a role do states play? Because there have been reports of the IS flag being seen in some parts of the valley, not to say that there are sympathizers particularly only in that region, but, there have been instances that, of course, one has been reported about. So where does the state, how much of a role does the state intelligence play in this?
Yes, the IS flag being shown in Kashmir by itself may not show allegiance to the ISIS. There may be some miscreants in a crowd of 5,000 odd
That's
who
right,
will show
yes.
a piece of cloth. That by itself, yes, it is an indicator of anti-India feelings, but it may not necessarily mean that they're aligned or they owe allegiance to the ISIS philosophy. Yes, the preparation is required not only at the central level but in each state. We need to have a national grid of real-time intelligence which can be connected together. We have technology permits that today. So talked about the NC National Counter-Terrorism Center, which gathered momentum after the 26/11 in Bombay, unfortunately got stalled due to our domestic political fractures. I mean, certain states which were not ruled by the Congress that time did not approve it. They say law and order being a state subject, certain infringement cannot be done by the center. But let me say that terror attacks are not mere law and order threats. They are a threat to national security.
Yes.
I think the present government needs to pursue it more vigorously, have a national counter-terrorism center or whatever you want to call it at the national level,
Yeah.
where real-time intelligence can be gathered
Yes.
and necessary countermeasures can be put in place before the attack is launched, not after it is launched.
Absolutely. We'll leave it there for now, General. Thanks so much for joining us on this story. This is, of course, something we'll be keeping an eye out on here on Rajya Sabha TV. Of course, Rajnath Singh assuring the nation that, their eye is on the terror outfit and every measure is going to be taken to control them. Meanwhile, the reason, of course, why we're talking about ISIS, especially in today's context, France, in fact, taking that fight to Islamic State again on Monday night with warplanes carrying out fresh strikes on the organization's stronghold in Raqqa in Syria. This even as an international manhunt for the 8th Paris attacker continued. Here are the details.
French warplanes carried out fresh raids overnight against the Islamic State stronghold of Raqqa in northern Syria, destroying a command center and training center. The raids, which follow a similar bombardment on Sunday, came a day after President François Hollande vowed to crush the Islamic State. Speaking in a rare joint session of the French Parliament at the Palace of Versailles, Hollande described the coordinated attacks that killed 129 people as acts of war.
J'estime en conscience que nous devons faire évoluer notre Constitution pour permettre au pouvoir public d'agir conformément à l'état de droit contre le terrorisme de guerre.
On the domestic front, Hollande called for an extension of the state of emergency by 3 months and announced 8,500 new police and judicial jobs to help counter terrorism.
Les décisions budgétaires seront prises dans le cadre de la loi de finances qui est en ce moment même en discussion pour 2016. Elles se traduiront nécessairement, et je l'assume devant vous, elles se traduiront par un surcroît de dépenses.
Meanwhile, French police staged over 100 raids in the early hours of Tuesday. The raids followed similar action on Sunday night, which saw police carry out 168 raids in towns and cities across the country. During that operation, authorities had made 23 arrests and seized 31 weapons, including a rocket launcher.
Pour ce qui concerne les assignations à résidence, j'ai prononcé ces dernières 48 heures 104 premières assignations à l'encontre d'individus qui font l'objet d'une attention particulière de nos services. Par ailleurs, cette nuit, sur l'ensemble du territoire national,
as authorities scrambled to find those responsible, the grieving French tried to return to the humdrum of daily life. Mountains of flowers and candles have been laid at the scenes of the attacks and in front of businesses that lost loved ones. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Meanwhile, Russia has finally accepted that an act of terror brought down the Russian A321 airliner in Egypt last month. All 224 people on board, mostly Russians, were killed. President Vladimir Putin said that Russia will find and punish those behind the attack over the Sinai Peninsula. He also ordered fresh strikes on Islamic State strongholds after a branch of the Islamic State terrorist group claimed responsibility for that crash.
The Kremlin claiming for the first time that it was indeed a bomb that ripped apart a Russian passenger jet over Egypt last month. At a late-night Kremlin meeting, Alexander Bortnikov, the head of Russia's FSB security service, told a meeting chaired by President Vladimir Putin that traces of foreign-made explosive had been found.
Исследование личных вещей, багажа и частей самолета, потерпевшего крушение в Египте 31 числа. В результате проведенных экспертиз на всех предметах, о которых я сказал.
Russia has promised to hunt down those responsible for the attack and intensify its airstrikes on Islamist militants in Syria.
С варварскими террористическими преступлениями. Чаще всего без всяких видимых причин, внешних или внутренних. Так, как это было со взрывом на вокзале в Волгограде. У наших людей на Синае в числе наиболее кровавых по числу жертв преступлений. И мы не будем вытирать слез с нашей души и сердца.
Putin ordered the Russian Air Force to intensify its airstrikes in Syria in response. He also ordered the country's secret service to hunt down those responsible for blowing up the plane. He said the search for the perpetrators will continue till they are found and punished.
Без срока давности, знать их всех поименно. Мы будем искать их везде, где бы они ни прятались. Мы их найдем в любой точке планеты и покараем.
The airline crash on the 31st of October killed all 224 people on board. Until Tuesday, Russia played down assertions from the Western countries that a bomb attack was responsible for it. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
With that, let's take you through some other international news updates in Global Buzz. More than a dozen people were killed and over 100 were injured in Pakistan when a train derailed in Balochistan province. 4 coaches of the Jafar Express en route Rawalpindi from provincial capital of Quetta derailed due to brake failure. The driver and assistant driver were among those killed. An earthquake of 6.5 magnitude hit the western Greek island of Lefkada today. 1 person was killed while many buildings were damaged. The earthquake took place 10 kilometers below the Earth's surface off the island of Lefkada. NASA's Curiosity Mars rover is approaching active dunes to continue investigations on how Mars's environment has changed over billions of years. NASA said that it will explore activity at mobile sand dunes in the next few days. It is the first time active dunes have been explored anywhere outside Earth. With that, a quick break here. Up next, we're getting all the national stories, and rain fury continues in Tamil Nadu. Details of that in a bit. Welcome back to the news tonight. Let's get your national news now. And ahead of the winter session, the government has called a meeting of NDA leaders to work out the floor strategy for the upcoming session. Parliamentary Affairs Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu is likely to convene the meeting at his residence to chalk out plans on the legislative business and floor coordination. Opposition leaders, though, have already indicated that the debate on intolerance will also feature in both houses in the upcoming session. Meanwhile, the Indian economy is moving ahead despite adverse global circumstances and headwinds. That was the message Finance Minister Arun Jaitley gave to a gathering of Indian businessmen in Dubai today. Jaitley said that despite the growing frequency of economic crises, India manages to find its own level. This, he believes, is happening because the government has opened up more sectors for investment. He also said that an interesting change is taking place in India with the expansion of the aspirational class. In an interview to news agency Reuters, Jaitley said that the government will put investments before budget savings to drive growth. Calling high growth and depleting poverty the agenda of the government for the coming years, Jaitley said that the government will prefer to use buoyant tax receipts to fund extra infrastructure spending rather than slash borrowing targets for the current fiscal year. Jaitley is on a 2-day visit to the UAE. In other news, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari today said that there was reason for the concern over the propensity for intolerance of diversity and dissent. Speaking at the inaugural session of the 3rd National Seminar on Social Harmony in Pune, the Vice President spoke of the need to evolve a social consensus around equality, justice and empowerment. He also said that social innovation is not possible without social harmony.
Equality, equity, empowerment and social justice constitute the fundamental values of a just and democratic societies. The promotion and protection of these values provides legitimacy to all institutions and all exercises of authority aimed at creating an environment in which human beings are at the center of concern for sustainable development. Every society, including ours, requires its constituent parts to work in harmony.
In more national news, VHP leader Ashok Singhal passed away today at a private hospital in Haryana's Gurgaon district. The 89-year-old was not keeping well for some time. He was admitted to the Medanta hospital on Saturday after complaints of acute breathlessness. He died today after a cardiovascular failure. VHP leader Praveen Togadia broke the news of his demise. Prime Minister Narendra Modi condoled his death, calling it a personal loss. He hailed Singhal as an institution in himself whose life centered around the nation. Ashok Singhal was a known RSS pracharak who rose to prominence with his role in the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. Condolence messages poured in from other VHP and BJP leaders as well.
मैं मानता हूं कि उनके निधन से राष्ट्रवादी विचारधारा की राजनीति करने वालों की के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी क्षति है और मैं उनके प्रति अपनी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं और अपनी हार्दिक श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं।
बहुत ही निर्मल मन के व्यक्ति थे, बहुत निर्मल मन। कभी भी उनके मन में किसी के प्रति कोई दुर्भावना मैंने नहीं देखी। वो नाराज होते थे, आग्रह करते थे, लेकिन कभी द्वेष भाव से नहीं।
विचारों के, अनेक प्रवृत्ति के, अनेक स्वभाव के संत महंत मठाधीश शंकराचार्य, इन सबको एकत्रित रखना ये कठिन काम है। वो कठिन काम अशोक सिंघल जी ने समर्थता से किया है। मैं उनकी स्मृति में अभिवादन करता हूँ, श्रद्धांजलि अर्पण करता हूँ।
Now to what has been a continuous focus in the past few days, the flood situation continued to remain grim in Tamil Nadu, with large parts of the state coming under water. Thousands of residents were stranded in their homes, even in cities. Teams from the Army, Air Force and Navy have now been pressed into service for relief work.
The army is out in Tamil Nadu to rescue people stranded in low-lying areas. IAF helicopters dropped food packets and moved people to safer places. Navy boats evacuated people from Kottapuram and nearby areas where the Adya River is in spate.
The Indian Navy is fully ready and equipped to help all the areas which are low-lying and have got water stagnation. We have got 2 teams deployed, one in the Vadakal area and the other is being sent as requested by the state administration to Manali area and also to Tamran.
Nearly a dozen teams of the NDRF have been deployed in Kanchipuram and adjoining areas where torrential rains have left thousands homeless.
अभी हमारी टीम जो है टोटल 12 टीम चेन्नई रीजन में ताम्बरम में डिप्लॉय है और हम लोग पूरी कोशिश के साथ जो फंसे हुए लोग हैं उसको अपने तकनीकी तरीके से अपने बोट की मदद से अपने लोगों से के जो सक्षम है उनके द्वारा मैं उसको निकाल रहा हूं।
The rains forced cancellation of over a dozen trains, causing inconvenience to passengers.
ट्रेन है नहीं, पूरा ट्रेन कैंसिल है। कोरोमंडल एक्सप्रेस आना था कल इवनिंग, लेकिन अभी तक वो यहाँ आया नहीं है। काफी लोग यहाँ पे परेशान में हैं। Just now they are cancelled the train. We started from home at 4 p.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. But now the train has been cancelled on 7:30.
The situation is likely to worsen, with the Met Department forecasting more rains in the next 24 hours.
As far as forecast for next 24 hours is concerned, it is likely to rain at few places in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. As far as Tiruvallur district is concerned, one or two places may experience heavy rainfall, and as far as Chennai city is concerned, cloudy with the possibility of shower in some areas.
71 deaths have been reported in the state so far in rain-related incidents. Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha has announced a package of 500 crore rupees for relief and rehabilitation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now a special report. The government is slashing the prices of drugs and stents by as much as 60%. The move is expected to make treatment of critical diseases far more affordable. Here's a report.
Treating cancer and cardiovascular diseases will be a lot more cheaper now, with the government deciding to sell drugs for these ailments at a 50 to 60% discount. The price cut will apply to 200 cancer drugs, 186 cardiovascular medicines, 148 types of stents and cardiac implants. But although patients are happy to get these medicines cheaper, the worry is about how to get them administered.
I think it's a right facility, nice director from the Government of India. But the only drawback is how do we get doctors? Because the medicines you're selling here are definitely cheaper. But how do I administer it? I'll have to look for a doctor who does that. I'll have to look for a facility where these can be mixed and be utilized.
All these drugs can be brought from the government-run Amrit store at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. The store will soon open at Safdarjung Hospital and Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital as well.
Of course, we cannot say कि अमृत है, अमृत में तो कोई फर्क किसी को कुछ होता नहीं है. But I think if it does give medicines, particularly anti-cancer medication, and also some drugs and stents related to cardiac ailments at a 50 to 60% subsidized cost to the user, what more I can ask as a citizen?
Given their high incidence, the government has decided to focus on cancer and cardiovascular diseases for the initial program. Cancer cases have gone up by 60% since 1990. Worldwide, the year 2013 saw 14.9 million new cases of cancer and 8.2 million deaths. Globally, cardiovascular diseases are among the leading cause of fatalities.
The project has already begun in AIIMS on pilot basis, and it is expected to replicate other central government hospitals within the next 3 months. The government is now planning to expand the program and reach out to other regional cancer care centers. With camera person Santosh, this is Anshu Jay Singh for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you some more updates from across the country and nationwide. The 7th Pay Commission will submit its report to Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Thursday. If implemented, the decision will be effective from the start of next year. The hike is expected to be around 15% and will benefit 40 lakh central government employees and 55 lakh pensioners. Chittoor Mayor Katari Anuradha was stabbed to death today by unidentified assailants inside her office. Her husband, Telugu Desam Party leader Katari Mohan, was also injured in the attack. He is in a critical condition in a hospital in Vellore. The attack is suspected to be a fallout of a family dispute. A colonel of the Army's elite para-commando force was killed in a fierce gun battle with terrorists in Kupwara district of North Kashmir. 37-year-old Colonel Santosh Mahadik was leading his troops in the encounter against 4 terrorists when he was shot. In another incident, Pakistan Rangers also resorted to unprovoked firing on border security force positions on the international border in Samba district of Jammu and Kashmir. A 4-year-old nursery student died after her head got stuck in an elevator of a private school in Hyderabad. Scores of angry parents gathered outside the school to protest against the horrifying accident. A case of criminal negligence was filed against the school management. All right, let's change tracks now. Get you the latest from the world of sports in Sports Beat. The 4th day of the second test between India and South Africa was called off without a ball being bowled due to rain. 9 sessions have been wasted because of rain so far. India were at 80 for no loss and are trailing South Africa by 134 runs at the end of day 1, with openers Murli Vijay and Shikhar Dhawan at the crease. Australia fast bowler Mitchell Johnson retired today from all forms of international cricket. He took 2 wickets on the final day of the drawn second test against New Zealand in Perth. Johnson, who is the fourth highest wicket taker for Australia in tests, has claimed 587 wickets in all formats since his debut in 2005. Pakistan Cricket Board Chairman Shahryar Khan declined the BCCI President Shashank Manohar's offer to play a bilateral series in India in December. PCB Chairman Shahryar Khan said a third home series in India was out of a question, adding that he could not see any reason why India is refusing to play in the UAE. In fact, the UAE has been Pakistan's home venue since the 2009 terrorist attack on Sri Lankan players. In tennis, Andy Murray started his ATP World Tour Finals campaign with a convincing win over Spain's David Ferrer. The British number one won in straight sets, 6-4, 6-4. He will next play Rafael Nadal, who brushed aside Stan Wawrinka 6-3, 6-2 in his opening game. 2 goals from John Walters helped Ireland secure a Euro 2016 spot as they overcame Bosnia-Herzegovina in the playoff second leg in Dublin. The 2-0 win gave the second leg, gave Ireland a 2-1 aggregate win. They will now join Northern Ireland, England and Wales in the Euro 2016 in France. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.